Hi, what's up people, Mr. Highway here. In my last video, I shared about how some of my students told me that the A-Maths paper 2 for 2020 O-Levels was really difficult. They sat for it and they were like totally defeated. And so I took it upon myself to try it out under exam conditions. Obviously, I did not score full marks, and so in this video and the coming ones, I'll be going through what I did, what I went wrong, and my corrections, as well as some of the pitfalls to look out for. Alright, here we go. First of all, I copied all the questions into a PowerPoint slide so that I can run it. And also I recorded the time when I finished each question or each part. And if you see 2:23 here, what it means is, because this is a 2.5 hour paper, right? So I started at 2 hours 30 minutes, okay? So it took me 7 minutes, and by the time I finished this, what I saw on the countdown clock was 2 hours and 23 minutes. Okay, so if you studied for your O-Levels at all, one look at question 1, you will know that this is an R formula question, pretty standard usually, but there's a twist here and we will see that in a while. The expression 7 cosine theta plus 4 sine theta is defined for this range. This is important, I circled it. And the question says, using R cos theta minus alpha, where R is positive, alpha is between 0 to pi over 2. Solve the equation 7 cosine theta plus 4 sine theta equals to 6. So I found R straight away using the Pythagoras theorem, where you have a square root of a squared plus b squared. Now I know that in some schools, you are required to write so-called full proper working that involves, squaring this and then equation 1, equation 2 before you get to R, right? And then there's what? Sine square plus cosine square equals to 1. Okay, I don't really remember exactly because I almost never do that. I don't think that is really a requirement in O-Levels because some schools teach it, some schools don't. And it's more of like getting you to understand the process when you first learn it in Sec 3. Most of you will learn it in Sec 3. And so it's not really something that you need to take very seriously when it comes to O-Levels, okay? Most of my students, when they do this for past year paper, they don't do the full working already. So from the majority feedback, I know that this is not masked for O-Levels. So anyway, let's get the R. R is square root of 65. If you just sub in, A is 7, B is 4. Alpha is tangent inverse B over A, which is 4 over 7, so I got this. Remember, you have pi over here, so it's meridians. So the next thing I wrote was that 7 cos theta plus 4 sine theta equals to 6 becomes square root of 65 cosine theta minus alpha equals to 6. So that's the R formula coming in. From here is pretty straightforward. We just bring the square root of 65 over. Cosine of this angle is positive, so we are looking at first and fourth quadrants. Okay, first quadrant would be just the alpha. Fourth quadrant would be 2 pi minus alpha, right? So the second answer would be the fourth quadrant, right? So you can see that from here, the fourth quadrant angle would be 2 pi minus alpha, but theta is from 0 to pi. So we are only looking at theta in the first two quadrants, right? So which means that the fourth quadrant answer is not valid, which is why I rejected it straight away, okay? So this is my answer, 1.25 radians. Correct to 3 significant figures, okay, in radians. Now, this looks pretty okay, reasonable enough. But then we come to part 2. Now, it's not really very difficult still, but I think I wasn't really thinking very straight at the time. So I didn't do this completely correctly. Now it says here, state the largest and smallest values of this. This is normally pretty easy, but there is a bracket square here, so that kind of gives it a little bit of twist. And if you are not ready to answer this by applying basic concepts, then you are going to not get this correct, okay, which is what happened to me. So I wrote this down, 80 minus 7 cosine theta plus 4 sine theta bracket square, which is what is given. I change it to the R formula that we came up with. This whole part takes a bracket square, that means it is always positive, isn't it? And if it is always positive, the least that you can go is 0. Okay? So it's actually greater equal to 0. It can be 0, it can be positive, but it can never be negative. Anything thinking a square can never be negative. So the maximum value is obtained when you take 80 minus 0. The maximum value is 80. If you want the maximum value, then cosine of this angle is 0. So you have cosine bracket theta minus 0.519 is equals to 0. So cosine inverse 0 is pi over 2. Then you bring over the 0.519 is plus. So theta equals to pi over 2 plus 0.519. And we have 2.089. So let's make it 2.09, correct to 3 significant figures. Now 2.09, it's okay. It's between 0 and pi, isn't it? Because pi is 3.14. So we have an angle here that's between 0 and pi. Okay, looks good. The minimum value would be to take 80 minus the maximum value of this, right? Well, the maximum value of this is 1. The maximum value occurs when this whole thing is 1, right? So I'll write this down. Cosine of bracket theta minus 0.519 is equals to 1. So cosine inverse 1 is 0. So I got this right in the sense, but I labeled it wrongly. Theta minus 0.519 is 0, so theta is 0.519. Okay, so this is the angle where you get the maximum value, and this is the angle where you get the minimum value. Yeah, so your reasoning has to be very clear there. I think I try to skip steps a lot, and I try to do a lot of mental calculations. That was the mistake that I made. I should have just written them down clearly, step by step, work on it, and get the answer. Okay, because this is not the usual question. I can just skip steps and all that. Okay, easy questions, skip steps. Difficult questions, write down your working clearly, and convince yourself that each step is correct. Okay, so what happened in the paper was that at the 7th minute, in fact I didn't finish it. I felt like I was spending too much time here, and so I skipped it. So that's question 1. Wow, what a way to start the paper. Okay, already it's not very easy, it's not standard. There's a little bit of twist. I should still have done it correctly, but I didn't. So no excuses, okay? Alright, so like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video for question 2.